If you don't want a traditional, I'm gonna walk down the aisle and music's gonna play, and you just wanna have a big party and get married in the middle of it, like that's all fine. I think too many people put too much pressure on what other people are thinking about their planning.
Hi, I'm John from PGP Wedding Films, and welcome to Say Yes to the Best, where we talk to the best wedding pros to help you plan your wedding. If you want more wedding planning tips, we have new episodes every week, so like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram to get all of our great pros and all of their great tips. Today, I'm here with Lori from Faunbrook. Hi, Lori, how are you?
Hey, John, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for letting us utilize your beautiful bed and breakfast for our shoot today.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you tell us a little bit about Faunbrook, the history, and kind of how you got involved with it?
Yeah, well, it was always my dream to own a bed and breakfast, and I have been here since March of 2008, so over a decade, and have literally planned hundreds of weddings and events. The property itself is an 1860s Victorian mansion, and we sit on 2 acres. We consider ourselves a more intimate venue. We can host anywhere from 2 people up to 100 people.
Great. And how many weddings would you say you have a year at Faunbrook?
It's at least 20 to 25 per year. Some small, some on the max 100 guest level.
So as a wedding venue, what makes Faunbrook unique?
Definitely the historical aspects of the home. It's been renovated gradually since the 1980s, but trying to keep all the historic features. There is a beautiful outdoor space we can use. So most of our events, when held in season May through October, we do indoor-outdoor events, wraparound porch, patio, ornate ironwork, lovely architecture, and just the sort of homey feel of the place as opposed to a big empty ballroom.
You wanted to talk today to our audience about what they should be thinking of as far as kind of logistics for choosing their wedding venue, right?
Right. I think a lot of brides-to-be, couples planning their wedding, even moms planning showers, those types of things. A lot of people get very nervous, very uptight, thinking they're going to forget the details. And they need to remember that we as vendors have done this hundreds of times, and they're hopefully only going to do it once. So I think some of my tips, and especially owning a venue, and I always tell people when we meet, the first thing obviously you want to do is choose your venue. And depending on that venue, a lot of the questions to ask are involving other vendors. So does the site have on-site catering? Do they have to use one specific caterer? Are there options for catering? How does the alcohol regulation work? Do they bring their own? Is it an open bar? How are all of those things included or not included in that venue? And it's people get really overwhelmed by all these different things, but in our case, it's you choose the venue, you choose the caterer, and then all the other vendors kind of come into play. So your videographer, your photographer, your florist. We have a full list of those other vendors. Our guests can bring in other vendors. We require they use one of 8 preferred caterers. So we help them along the way with a vendor list. But that's one of the most important questions I think people planning an event should ask is what is included at this venue in this cost. Staffing is very important. So will there be a venue manager, an on-site coordinator, an actual event planner all involved in my wedding? Do we have to pay extra insurance for the site? And some places do, some places don't. Faunbrook is insured, our caterers are insured. So here, if people want to book a wedding, it's basically just an insurance rider over their own, whatever their own policy is, homeowners or rental insurance. And that's pretty much up to them. So some places require that. It's, pretty much just what's included, what's not, what is it going to cost me? Those are the biggest questions.
So, I hear that, and especially when people who end up reaching out to me, like the day after they get engaged, and I'll be like, okay, when are you getting married? They're like, oh, we're thinking October-ish. And it's really, if you don't know the venue, I can't tell you, okay, I'm available October 16th, but I'm not October 17th. So,
right.
Nailing down the venue is usually like kind of the big thing, because you can't set a date until you have a place there.
Exactly. And of course, involving that is, does the venue allow the ceremony to also take place on site? Mm-hmm. So do they have to look for another venue for their ceremony? We are all inclusive. We can do ceremony and or reception here. But some venues will also charge an additional rate for a ceremony fee. So those are all things to consider, mm-hmm. especially in choosing a date.
Yeah, you don't want to see one price and then you say, well, if we do the ceremony here, and all of a sudden you were planning on price A and it's price B, that's thousands and thousands of dollars more. That's going to be a bit of a hard thing to take if you were planning everything.
Exactly. A lot of people planning the events have sort of a checklist that they've been told, like, hey, here's the things you need to ask. And really the venue manager, owner, coordinator, whoever it is, should have already answered all those questions by the time they get to the end of that checklist. Mm-hmm. So it shouldn't be, that's what I find in my meetings. People are like, okay, yep, you've answered all that. And that's good, because we've done it, like I said, so many times, and they're not going to do it hopefully more than once. So mm-hmm. One of the other things to factor into your planning is your music, your sound for the day. So does the venue allow a DJ? Are there restrictions on times and locations where music can play? Can we hire live music? We have an actual sound system here that we can plug into. So there's a lot of different options at a lot of different venues.
It's probably something you don't really think about necessarily. Like, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and there's a video of like the last scene of Star Wars when you take the music out and you just hear like people's feet stomping and someone coughs, and it's like, music makes a big, it's a big part of what I do making films, right. But it's also a big part of the event. You don't want people sitting there in silence and it being awkward. So having a plan for what people are going to hear is important.
Yeah. Too. You don't want to come into an empty, quiet house. Like, as the first guests arriving, there should be some background and, mm-hmm. some entertainment happening.
Mm-hmm. If a couple focused on one thing involving their venue, what would you say is the most important thing?
To me, it's all about the feel. When I walked in, did I feel comfortable? Did I feel welcome? Did I feel rushed? Did I feel anxious? Like, you want to be sure that it's kind of about the feel of the location first. But I'm very much of a gut feel kind of person. Mm-hmm. If someone's, not that way, and they're really looking hard at, hey, here's what I really want in a venue. I think the space is the most important part. Can I picture myself here? Can I picture the ceremony here? Can I picture my dance floor in this parlor? Mm-hmm. Which is kind of how we run it here. Mm-hmm. And the photographs, of course, certainly help. So every venue should have, photo albums or links and things that people can certainly see events that have happened.
What do you think is the biggest mistake a couple could make in choosing their venue? Like, what is one thing that you wish, if you could stop every couple from making it, what would it be?
It would be listening to other people. So, I've had couples come here and they'll say, well, I really love it, but my mom wants this. Or I really love it, but our best man's sister got married here a year ago. And they'll let other people and things sway their decision. And I always tell the couples, this is your wedding day. So it should be what you want it to be. And if you don't want a traditional, I'm going to walk down the aisle and music's going to play, and you just want to have a big party and get married in the middle of it, like, that's all fine. I think too many people put too much pressure on what other people are thinking about their planning.
Do you think what are some of the pros and cons of doing everything in one location versus having separate sites?
Definitely the pros are a more relaxing day for everyone involved. So as the couple, you can get ready in one location. You can wake up, get ready in one location, not have to worry about transportation from a ceremony location to a reception location. Are we going to do photographs in a different place? I think having everything in one place it's way more relaxing for the people hosting it, and it's way more relaxing for the guests because they also don't have to worry about getting from point A to point B and traveling throughout the day.
So what is one of your favorite things about hosting weddings, here at Faunbrook? Because obviously you're a bed and breakfast, you do a lot of other things as well. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite part about making weddings part of Faunbrook?
It's just such a special celebration. I feel like it's one of the biggest days of people's lives. And to have a venue and a space where we can host that and make it beautiful and memorable and amazing for them, that's amazing. And one of the things I always say about owning a bed and breakfast, and the best part, is everyone coming here is celebrating something. So whether you're just celebrating a night away, or whether you are having a big wedding, or even we do funeral celebrations and we do corporate meetings, but it's always a celebration of something when people walk through my door, which is a really cool job. A lot of people can't say that about their job. So that's one of the things I really, really love about what I do, and especially about hosting weddings.
Great, thanks, Lori. And now Lori's going to give you 5 quick tips that'll help you make your wedding day a little more enjoyable and a little less stressful.
You should have a point of contact for that day other than yourself. Should a vendor have a quick question, or if someone's looking for your mom, those types of things, so that you're not constantly interrupted throughout your day. You should try to stick to the timeline as best you can, as well as be flexible, because you are working with vendors and a lot of people, and people are in constant motion. Be sure you eat before the wedding, and make sure to relax and enjoy yourself.
Great. Those are all fantastic tips. And sometimes some people may be like, well, obviously eat, but you would not be surprised how many brides and grooms are like, I haven't eaten since yesterday.
Yeah.
So the last thing we're going to do is I have a few questions for you, Lori, that'll help our audience get to know you and Faunbrook a little bit better.
Okay.
What was the first wedding you were a part of at Faunbrook like?
Honestly, it's such a blur. I couldn't tell you too much, except that the caterer I was working with had done so many events here before I took over that they basically managed the event, and I pretty much just followed along and watched and listened. And I can't even remember who the bride and groom were at this point, because now I'm going on 12 years and it's literally been to hundreds of events.
What is something that people don't know about Faunbrook?
Very interesting historical fact about Faunbrook. It has not much to do with weddings, but the house was owned by the Darlington family, which is a common name in the area. And one of the Darlington daughters was the first female president of the Chester County Bar Association.
Wow.
So in the early 1900s, she was a very prominent attorney, which was, of course, completely unusual for a woman at that time. And she was the attorney who helped the DuPonts obtain the land that is now Longwood Gardens.
Wow.
Which is a very cool local and historic tie-in to Longwood Gardens, which is one of our big attractions.
I'm very thankful. I go to Longwood all the time. My kids love it, and I don't know what I would do without it.
Yeah.
What is your greatest accomplishment?
These are tough questions.
I try. I ask the hard-hitting journalistic questions.
Greatest accomplishment? It probably is buying the inn. Mm-hmm. That was, like I said, it was my dream. It was something that was always in the back of my head, and people would say, like, oh, you can do that when you retire, or, kind of like that would be like the later in life thing. Well, I want to retire when I retire. So I feel like that's definitely probably my biggest accomplishment. Actually, having that dream and achieving it pretty early on.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Lori, thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Okay, thank you.
Lori from Faunbrook Bed and Breakfast here in Westchester. All of her information and the inn's information will be below. Look them up on all of the social media and all of the internets. Again, if you want more wedding planning tips, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. We do new episodes every single week. So thank you again, and happy planning.